over Christmas. We got a place called Talguy, which is near Warwick. Family owns one of the French family owns them. And the kids, there's about 17 grandkids or something like that now, family. And they were playing in the creek, and they were, running off the bank and jumping in and throwing sticks for the dogs. The dogs are barking, and kids jumping in off the tree and on a big rope swing, And they were having a great time. It reminded me of the great time that I used to have up here in the north as a kid, and these water holes. And a great shame, Canute, they've taken our waterways off us. Our kids can't have that fun anymore. And we don't have the big fun parks to go to like they have in South East Queensland. So our kids just sit at home and play with their, bizzos that they play with these days. But our waterways, it's very simple, have been taken off us by people that live in Brisbane. Excuse my language, ladies, but they get a bloody hide. It is our land. We live here. They have no right. They live 2,000 kilometres from us. They have no right to be telling us what we can and can't do. And I, for one, have reached a point in my life where, as far as I'm concerned, every available politician I can get hold of, I'm going to kick him. And kick him as hard as I can kick him. Because he is betraying the people that he is paid handsomely to represent. Now, I had a little function, Christmas party. There were 3 Liberals at the Christmas party, blokes that I got on very well with. They were standing behind me, speaking to a leading scientist in Australia. I won't mention his name. And he's got to do with the Barrier Reef. This bloke, probably the most prominent person and the most powerful person with respect to Barrier Reef. And the 3 Liberals said to him, and I had my back to them and they had their back to me, so they didn't know I was listening. They said, farming on the Barrier Reef, he said, not on. So we should close down all farming. He said, absolutely, absolutely. And the 3 Liberals said, that's what we've always believed. We've always believed that. Now, they didn't know anyone was listening. But, if they're bad, the Labor Party is infinitely worse. So what they're proposing is to close down the sugar industry of Queensland. What is the biggest employer in Queensland? Not North Queensland. The biggest employer in Queensland is the sugar industry. It is still bigger than the tourism industry or the coal industry. So what is number 2 industry? The coal industry. And 4 weeks ago, the soon-to-be Deputy Prime Minister of Australia, Tanya Plibersek, said, we will close the coal industry. Not quietly or shyly, on the front page of the Australian newspaper. And the Chinese thought, well, we'll just give these little nobodies, 23 million people, we've got 40 cities bigger than them, we'll give them a little bit of a tune-up. So they closed off the coal industry for 2 weeks. Now, we buy cloth in my shirt from overseas, leather in my boots from overseas, the felt in my hat from overseas, my glasses from overseas, my biros from overseas, my mobile from overseas, my car from overseas, petrol in my car from overseas. Well, if you want to buy everything from overseas, you've got to sell something. But no one's told Tanya Plibersek about that. 1/4 of the nation's income comes from coal. She closed that down, the country is instantly bankrupt. But here is the alternative Deputy Prime Minister, and if you think she's mucking around, well, the Chinese don't. They gave us a good little tune-up for a couple of weeks there. Closed the coal industry down. We'll see how you like that. And to quote, I think the best book ever written on warfare was easily on Clausewitz's book, On Warfare is the name of the book. And he said, when goods don't cross borders, then guns will. If you think you're going to deprive China and India of coal or food, you better think again, baby. You better think again. Jackie Trad, in Townsville, the home of the coal miners, she says, in a city that's held by the ALP, and 3 of the 4 seats held by the ALP, she said, retool, retrain. Your industry is going to close down retool and retrain. Well, that's not what the Indians are saying. That's not what the Chinese are saying. Hey, listen, lady, you represent a tiny little state of 5 million people. China is a country of 1.3 billion people. India, probably bigger than China within 5 or 6 years. Having said those things, for those of you who like to read books, I read John Stuart Mill's On Liberty, one of the more famous books ever written on government, I suppose. And I think 23 times I counted he used the word tyranny of the majority. De Tocqueville, the famous book upon which democracies were based, or his books, but one of his more famous books was The Tyranny of the Majority. And built into the American Constitution is a system of checks and balances and small states. And as Alan Jones said, in answer to the New State movement, Alan Jones said, America, when it formed separation from Great Britain, had 13 states. It now has 52 states. It grew. Australia's never grown. We started with 6 states, we still got 6 states. This is primitive to say the least, but also it cuts very badly across what everyone knew when they were designing democracy, the tyranny of the majority. You know, democracy does not deliver fairness. It does not deliver justice. It just delivers the majority, the power of the majority. Now, there is a hole through which we can walk. But before I talk about that, you know, when I drive into Brisbane, within 2 kilometres of the airport, there is massive overpasses costing over $2 billion across the Northern Highway. Then you go into a tunnel, which is over $7 billion. So there's $9 billion in the space of 9 kilometres. As soon as you get out of the tunnel, you go straight into Bowen Hills, where there's an overpass, over an overpass, over an overpass, which is $4 billion. So what have we got? 2, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, $13 billion. $13 billion in just 7 kilometres. And that's not the major ingress into Brisbane. The major ingress is from the South Coast, there's 1 million people living, and from Sunshine Coast, where there's 500,000 people living. Those are the 2 major entrance points. So it's not even the major entrance point. There is 4,000 billion in pleasure domes along the Brisbane River, starting with what we still call Lane Park, where all these going to over 1.25 kilometre long function centre, an artificial beach, an opera house, a giant museum, and it just goes on and on and on for 2, 3, 5 kilometres of pleasure domes along the river, built with our money. Built with our money. The budget, there's 45 billion that goes for you know, schools, roads, police, hospitals, biggest one, and then there's 5 billion in discretionary money. Well, guess how much this year will come out of mineral royalties from North Queensland? $5 billion. The whole discretionary amount of money that they're spending buying votes in Brisbane comes from us. And let me just give you a quick glimpse into the future. Now, I don't come here and talk about what might happen. I tell you what I am determined to see happen. The big parties in Brisbane, our little party, they abolished both seats. They buried Robbie Katter's seat in a seat as big as Europe. It starts at the New South Wales border and goes to the Gulf Coast area and back across the Great Dividing Range. Shaney's seat they broke into 5 parts, abolished. So we started the election with no seats at all. So we had to fight like a tiger to hold those seats. Now we come out of the election, winning 1 seat by 80%, Shaney's new seat by 70%, and the Meadows on 60%. So we are a fortress we've built in North Queensland. And we intend to forage out from that fortress. We're not staying in Fortress North Queensland in the 3 seats. We dipped out by 41 lousy stinking votes in Cook, 41 votes we got beaten by, and 176 in Mundipur. But we're coming back. We're coming back. And Shani, that candidate we got for court, she's so good. She's beyond belief good. I'll tell you about that shortly. But all we need to do now, because the Liberals have been kind enough to kick the member of Whit Sundays out, we don't take him in our party. He is voting as North Queensland parliamentary representative now. The One Nation candidate is voting as North Queensland parliamentary representative. So the people in this room, thanks to the leadership of you blokes, we are now in command of 5 seats. Give us 8 seats and we would have controlled every single government in the last 45 years with 2 exceptions. Give us 8 seats. That's all we're asking for. Give us 3 more seats. And then we start on the program. And what is the program? This, as I see it, and I know that some members disagree with this, but I believe very strongly that from those 8 seats, they form the North Queensland Parliamentary Caucus. And they say, we're taking 5,000 million in discretionary funds to be spent over the next term of the Parliament. Might make it 6,000 because 4-year Parliament's now. Why 5,000 million? Because 6 weeks before the last state election, the Liberals plucked 5,000 million out of the air for now yet another tunnel in the most tunnelled city on earth. It's got 29 kilometres of tunnels. Sydney has only 14 kilometres of tunnels. Last time I looked, it's 5.5 million people. Brisbane is 1.3 million people. So they can pluck 5,000 million out of the sky overnight, the Liberals. Labor Party, not to be beaten, plucked 5.5 billion for yet another tunnel in Brisbane. So we'll take the $5 billion, and if you don't like that, well, you can rule as a minority government. And if you think we can make hell for you, yes, we can. We will cross the floor and disrupt and destroy until you send us back to an election where we'll get even more seats and even be stronger still and have an even more powerful position. Now, when you get that 5,000 million, there will be a North Queensland Development Authority set up. And it will build the rail line into the Galilee. Not owned by a foreign corporation. The current Liberal policy is to give a $1,000 million gift to a foreign corporation to build the railway line and take control of half of the nation's coal resources. That is their policy. To give a $1,000 million gift to a foreign corporation to build a railway line so that they will control and ultimately own all of the Galilee, half our coal resources. Well, no, North Queensland's going to stand on the sideline and watch all the coal resources of North Queensland be taken. So we get the railway line, so all of the mines on the Galilee open up. Within 7 years, there should be $20 or $30 billion worth of coal rolling along that railway line, making $1 squillion, not for the people of Brisbane, but for the people of North Queensland, because it's owned by the North Queensland Development Authority, and by law the only way it can ever be sold off is a majority of North Queensland vote for its sale. The second thing, we built Hell's Gate. 3,000 million a year in income, 30,000 jobs in North Queensland. So now you've got, now I'm not going to go into full detail, but the Herbert River, Tully realignment, thanks to Shane's very hard work, and the Herbert River, which will bring, if I get my way, the liquor from the sugar mill up there on the Herbert down to NQBE in Ingham and to the Tully mill as well. And start dam building on the Mitchell River. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail here. The canal to get our phosphate out as fertiliser from northwest Queensland, Mount Isa, Cloncurry, would be towns of 60,000 people will be living out there if that fertiliser plant comes on stream. I'm not going to go into the details of that either. But with $60 billion now rolling in, you know, all the cattlemen get 200 hectares of irrigation, so they never have to go through droughts again. And we build up our numbers. But put all that together, $60 billion a year. The economists say 10 jobs for every $1 million. And I think that's dead accurate. If you look at Ingham, it's a very good example. It only has one industry, so you can figure it out. It works out spot on to that. numbers. So you double that figure, it's 120,000 jobs with follow-on, and you treble that to get the population. That's an extra 350,000 people in North Queensland. Now we've got the numbers, not the southeast corner. Well, not Brisbane. Southeast corner still has, but not Brisbane. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not talking about something that could happen. I am talking about something that will happen and that I'm determined to see happen. And you may see yourselves as small in number, and our organisation that's leading us is a very small organisation. But their aspirations are not unrealistic. They are very, very real. And when they tried to destroy a little party that represents North Queensland, we came back and 80%, 70%, 60%. Take us on again. We love it. Give us more. But just 3 seats now. We are away. You know, the bloke in West Sundays, he's been a very naughty boy, but the fact is, everyone knew about that before. He won that seat handsomely, and I suspect that he'll win that seat handsomely again. So we're sitting on 5 seats, very strongly held 5 seats, and please God, we can pick up those extra 3. And I pay very great tribute to Shane Canute, who had no seat. He had 1/5 of his seat, and he just said, well, I'll come over and I'll show you. And he has. And you know, when he forces you to look at the Tully. When you looked at it, you realign the Tully penstock, and you get 600 megawatts. That's almost the entire grid of North Queensland. Between that and Hell's Gate, you've got almost all of your power you need for the foreseeable future. Thank you very much. A very great honour to be able to say a few words and to be with such great fighters and leaders. We salute you greatly, and we pray for you.
Well, thanks, Bob.